You want to get in some basketball?
We got to talk about. I mean, when you got back from McDonald's, you said you watched the rest of the Celtics game, right?
Yeah, man.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm feeling like I put in my picks for each game.
Yeah.
I almost had the Nuggets coming back last night. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, yes, we will.
But I also had the Celtics getting a big rebound win. You know what I'm saying?
Which they needed.
Staying in the series 2-1, which they desperately needed off the back of Gordon Hayward. Having him as an addition into that squad helped them immensely.
To this matchup, Kemba Walker defending.
Kelly Olynyk can't get it to fall. Rebound comes to Hayward.
That's the right read. He made the right pass out of the double team.
That was still a great pass from Adebayo. I mean, just threw a bullet. His passing for a big man is just exceptional. Speaking of exceptional passing, that's one of the things Hayward does best.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely eating my words that I was talking to. What's your friend's name again? Fredo. Yeah, I was eating my because I wasn't giving Gordon Hayward a lot of credit when we were on the phone with him. But he came out and he performed last night.
Yeah.
They needed the win. You know, you can't go down 3-0 in this. You know, in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's just not gonna.
That's a hole you're not coming out of.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But also, you didn't throw. I mean, you did throw dirt on Gordon Hayward's name, but it wasn't like you said that he wasn't a good player. You just said that.
Yeah.
I think Fredo had compared him to Kawhi or something.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you got to be realistic about
he's
the
not,
man.
Yeah, he's not on the level.
He came out and he performed. You know, maybe I should have given him a little bit more credit. I'm sorry.
He performed. I mean, no,
sorry, Gordon.
Gordon Poppy.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, listen. I think he fits in well, and I think it's another addition to that Celtics. Like we always talk about, that Celtics system, man.
Yeah.
Just one of the best in the NBA. At everyone know their role. Everyone do their role. You know what I'm saying? Everyone stick to their thing, and we'll get the win. And that's exactly what happened that night.
Absolutely.
And now with Gordon Hayward, they're riding off of momentum. You know, they had that little spat.
Well, I was standing, let me just set the scene for you a little bit, Scott. I was standing probably 25 feet behind this stanchion, this barrier that they have to keep the media back until all the players have entered the locker room. And usually they let us through fairly quickly, but today we saw the Celtics PR guy who is here say no, wait, and then I was standing next to Gary Washburn, who's with the Boston Globe, and all of a sudden we started to hear loud yelling, clanking, almost like a chair or something incredibly heavy was being thrown up against the wall, and we were 25 feet away, and the door was closed when you could hear all of this. And then probably a minute and a half later, Marcus Smart walked out of the locker room, turned the corner towards the restroom, and was still yelling and swearing as he walked into the restroom, followed by a security guard. When he was out of the locker room, there was still yelling going on inside of the locker room. So as you said, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, a lot of the guys who came out afterwards and talked to reporters said it was nothing, things happen between family, and that may be true, but this sounded like a little bit more than just a typical chat. And I also asked if Marcus Smart would talk afterwards. I specifically put in a request for him, and he left without talking to reporters, Scott.
Now, did you want to talk about that at all?
I think we have to.
Yeah, I mean, very odd to me. I don't know what happened there. I know there was some stuff being thrown, reports of Brown and Tatum, or not Brown and Tatum, but I think
they were all getting into it.
They were kind of all getting into it, but I think it's centered around
It was around Marcus Smart.
Yes.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, it's kind of started there.
Well, in the NBA, the locker room just plays such a big role, more than any other sport, I think.
Right.
Could we hear reports from the locker room in NBA more than like, I mean, you know, what can you compare it? Like we hear about the locker, like when J.R. Smith threw like soup at the general manager of the Cavs or whatever. Yeah. So we hear about the locker room a lot. Players go crazy, and especially if you ever play basketball, you know the locker room is where
I never played, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the locker room is a locker room, man. But so I mean, people get heated. Obviously, there's a lot of emotions going around. They went down 2-0. Obviously, if they lost another game before they won, then the series would have been pretty much over.
They kind of played sloppy those first two games.
They weren't playing well. They weren't playing very cohesive. They needed, and Marcus Smart, obviously, such a passionate player.
Yeah.
And they're all passionate. They're all dogs. Obviously, they had to get their statements across. They weren't even playing that well during the Raptors series. Went to a Game 7. I think they knew they could do better.
Yeah.
I think the squad is capable of amazing things, and they have been playing well. But they have not been living up to their potential, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely gives me pause because once they get to whoever wins that Western Conference Finals, which it looks like it's going to be probably the Lakers at the moment, though the Nuggets still do have, if they can get one game, all they need is one game to activate 3-1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nuggets, which is an entirely different rendition of the Nuggets.
Yeah, 3-1 Nuggets is the Nuggets you don't want to go up against.
The 3-1 Nuggets should be their entirely own classic team in NBA 2K.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm going to say that now.
Yeah. It's just every player gets like a +2 bump.
+2 attributes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Jokic gets like, I don't know. He gets like
circus shots.
Yeah. Literally just like he can shoot, he can pull up from like half court and shit.
Yeah, Jamal Murray gets like relentless finisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a couple games in there. You give I think it was a game 4 that OG Anunoby hit that game winner, or game 3?
I think it was game 4.
Game 4.
I could be wrong though.
Game 4. That's you could chalk that up to luck. And then game 7 they played pretty well. But for the other games in that series, man, like you're right, the Celtics weren't
playing their best basketball.
They weren't. It's like kind of like flying in the face. And even the game I watched the other night after I was accosted with cheese, well, I should say, when I go, stopped by those guys on the side of the road getting coffee.
Right.
They were playing sloppily, man. I don't know what was up with them. You know what I mean? Like there were a few possessions in there where it seemed like, and I was talking to my friend Jerry, he's a Celtics fan. It seemed like almost, and I know Miami employed the zone defense quite a bit. It seems like that was, before the addition of Gordon Hayward, a bit too much for the Celtics. Because it seemed like nobody was getting open. Everyone was running around like a headless chicken. People were chucking up bad shots. Just very odd.
Yeah.
Very odd. They're being careless with the ball. I want to see these Celtics win it all, man, but I'm becoming decreasingly, even if they make it out of this series, it's becoming more and more apparent to me that they are not equipped to make, well, they're already in the deep playoff run, but I don't know if they're equipped to finish it.
Yeah, well, you got to think this is like the first year that they've actually had their full roster pretty much. And even for most of the series, Gordon Hayward wasn't a part of it. But you think back to like when Kyrie got injured, that team, they did very well. They made it to Eastern Conference Finals. However, they were very young and they didn't have, the point guard, the person who was supposed to bring them all together.
Right.
And then they did have Kyrie, but it didn't go so well. And that was also their first year playing as a cohesive unit. You got, last year. And then this year, you're looking at, this is the first year with the addition of Kemba Walker. This is their first chance to actually play together. This is the first time in a very long time that the Celtics have had a full squad, especially these group of kids never had like a full squad. So I think they're used to just playing very one-on-one type basketball, especially, Jayson Tatum's game is very one-on-one type of style. Jaylen Brown complements that very well too. Also, Marcus Smart has been stepping up. So, what I think is what has to happen is Kemba Walker or a leader on the team, but someone has to be vocal, which was Marcus Smart in the locker room. Yeah. Someone has to bring them together.
So you think that was less of a confrontation and more of Marcus Smart stepping up to the plate? Because honestly, hot take here, Marcus Smart, to me, I love what you said. He's become kind of, in some senses, the go-to guy in this series for me.
Yeah, he's been doing very well.
He's been that go-to guy. And I mean, I know Jayson Tatum's there. He's an emerging superstar. I know Jaylen Brown's been playing out of his mind. I know Kemba Walker's been hitting clutch time shots. But, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Marcus Smart's been stepping up. And if you look at, the Celtics, Marcus Smart's the one to step up to the defensive plays. Marcus Smart's the one to put his body on the line.
Late game situations, I want Marcus Smart.
Yeah, and he's also been developing his three-point shot.
Offense.
And he's the sixth man, So
in spades.
Obviously I think all the kids on that team, and I call them kids because they're young, they want to win,
Youngsters.
obviously. Yeah, they want to win. And I think Marcus Smart was like, hey, you know what? I've been stepping up. I want to see this team win. Like, let's go. Like, I don't think it was so much of like a tantrum. I think it was probably a very heated
I think he was calling some guys out. That's what reports were saying, that he was talking to Jaylen Brown, or excuse me, Jayson Tatum, because Jayson Tatum was kind of performing poorly. Then Jaylen Brown came in and was pointing out Marcus Smart's downsides, and perhaps you're right? If you're Marcus Smart, you're thinking, I'm trying to motivate this team.
Right.
Why are you coming at me?
Yeah.
But maybe the other players saw it as a sign of disrespect, when in reality, Marcus Smart's just a fucking dog, man.
Yeah, and you look back at like Michael Jordan and stuff, is like what he did, what Michael Jordan used to do was call people out.
Right.
He used to bring people in by name. Look at Jimmy Butler. He calls people out, brings them in by name. Now Marcus Smart is a sixth man. He hasn't garnered that, respectability yet, maybe from his teammates. However, I think what he was trying to do, and I don't know, well, obviously we weren't in the locker room, and I think the media also makes it sound way worse than it is, just so they can get clicks. But I think what Marcus Smart did was he was like, guys, like we have to do this. What are you doing over here? Why are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Let's work as a team. And obviously, whatever he said worked because they won the game.
Well, also Gordon Hayward, but they played much better.
At 12 of his 18 points in that first quarter. Three-pointer, that's good. Shot blocked. Jaylen Brown throws it right back at Dragic. Here's Tatum, runs, and throws it down. One's here for game 3.
But watching that replay, excellent adjustments offensively.
Yes, and Gordon Hayward's great running the floor and stuff. He's a little bit more of a veteran.
He's almost like an offensive magnet. I should say defensive magnet because he pulls defenses in, but not on the same level as a Kyrie Irving or like a Giannis. But he still has that calm kind of pull you in subtly, make sure my guy on the three-point line gets an open look, or make sure that a cutting Marcus Smart can drive to the you know what I mean? Like it's little stuff like that. That's what I love about Gordon Hayward as a player. Like he can just, I don't know, he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You put him in, I'm sure has a terrific point differential. Like he's one of those guys that you talk about has reach beyond statistics.
Right, absolutely.
But also you could see it on the statistics. So it's like he's just such a well-rounded player, and he's a great addition to any team, man. And I'm glad that the Celtics have him back.